when I first thought about doing this series, part of me kind of wanted somebody to convince me not to do it. Like it's a lot of work. 90 sermons. I mean, that doesn't even include the sermon or sermons I preach on Saturday. Uh, that's over 100 sermons within the next 3 months. It's a lot of work. And so I was thinking, so like I would like call friends and then I'll talk to them about it and I'll tell them my idea and then why, my philosophy and why I thought this was something that would be beneficial for the church and everything and for me. And they've all been like very positive and thought it was a good idea. I thought they were going to be like, are you crazy? Why on earth are you going to do that to yourself? That's too much. That's not balanced or something like that. And none of them said that. I'm like, okay. Uh, Maybe this is God like letting me go forward with this. And I continue to pray about it and like the more I would read the gospels, the more I would read the book of Acts, the more I would be convicted. You got to do this. You got to do this series. And it hasn't even been a week yet. And I'm already seeing why this series is good to do. Like even today, again, hearing another testimony about somebody from one of the people before the series, before the session, telling me about how he left his life of drugs and what he's been going through lately and what he's going through in his life and where he is now. And then also talking to other people from yesterday, remembering what people said about how like one person used to be a pastor in another church and how their own child like corrected what was going on in that church and just hearing just people just telling me their experience uh, yesterday and today and just hearing them and knowing like some people are here now that it's the summer. There was a concern, and it was a legitimate concern of some people in church because they felt like, the summer is really hot. Maybe the church might be too hot, and it is a bit hot, and it was a legitimate concern. But I said, nah, let's move forward with this. I thought to myself, and like this guy, he would have been here during the rest of the year. He's only here for the summer up until September, and that's when the series ends in September. Another lady, she's here because her daughter is going through surgery, and she came here like basically just in time for this series. She was here on Saturday where I was promoting it, and so she came through the series, and she said she's gonna be here every day that she can. And so I'm just looking at God's timing. It's like so great for this church or for individuals in this church. And I was looking at the timeline between this church and the other churches that I pastor, and I just saw like basically it just kind of fit like perfectly in. And I was like, because I was thinking maybe I should do it later, maybe I should do it next year. And every time I kept looking at it, it's like, nah, it fits right here. And just seeing like how it would come in just in time, as in like right after the baptisms that we had this past Saturday, and then how awesome is that? That the people who got baptized, they can now take this journey, baptism, and now taking a journey with Jesus. And so that's what we've been doing. We're going chapter by chapter through the Gospels. And it's amazing to see people's excitement. I really thought there would be more of a resistance. I mean, don't get me wrong. Not everybody is like, yeah, let's do this. But it was nowhere close to the amount of resistance I thought I would get. There's a level of the level of excitement that people have to like do this is pretty awesome. And like people are excited to come and to be here. And so it's been awesome so far. And so like today we studied Matthew chapter 5 and going through the Sermon on the Mount, or like people like to call the Beatitudes. And Jesus basically talking about a different type of church experience, not the churchy religion. And of course, religion is good and everything, but Jesus is saying you have to exceed the righteousness of the scribes and Pharisees, exceed the righteousness of the church people, because it's not about like the church standards. And again, it's nothing wrong with standards, nothing wrong with religion, but like remember the people back then, they were all about just the rules, they're all about the standards. Jesus says it's basically Jesus was saying in that sermon, it's not about those things, it's about relationship. It's about relationship. And basically Jesus started going through the law and just basically started just saying, you know what? The law is good, but what is the principle behind the law? We need to follow that. If you were to follow the principle of the law, you would be acting differently. You'd be turning the other cheek. You wouldn't hate your brother. So I believe like God in his timing is like bringing in these people. Like it's kind of like a new breed of people. People who are hungry for the word of God, thirsty for the word of God, as is said in this chapter today. People who are going to have a different kind of religion. A religion that's not lukewarm. A religion where it's a relationship with God and a relationship with each other. That's the church that I want to have.